Okay, hi folks. So, so I know our week is running out. How many people would like to present today? I see Spring, I see Amanda, I see Serena, I see Bob. All right, that's 4. I think most of the rest of you have already presented. Okay. Oh, Clara, I'm going to rename you again.
Question?
Yes.
When is the last time we need, or the latest we can turn in our form to have you do all that?
How does tomorrow sound?
Okay, what time? Midnight or?
The website
Midnight.
says, yeah, the website says Friday or Saturday at midnight or something.
Yeah, Friday night at midnight or Saturday at 12:01 a.m. Can you do that?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see here. I am recording, right? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Are there questions that any other questions like that before we do presentations? Any
So
kind of
how far back are we doing the forums? Because I remember, I think our second or third assignment, we couldn't do forums or something. First or second.
what do you mean by do forums?
The forums for the homework
Feedback.
we were doing.
The feedback form?
Oh, the forms.
Yeah. The forum.
Yeah, they're all open.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I've got them all open until the end of this week. So yeah, they're all open.
You want us to complete all those?
You know what? At this point, I already know what you've done, so it's okay. It's more of a convenience, but it's not necessary, so don't worry about it. Yeah. In fact, you folks, literally everybody in this quote room, you folks are all the A students. You're all doing really well. There are a couple people that I never hear from that, you know, I don't know where they are. They've dropped off the planet, but you guys have nothing to worry about. You're all right there. So seriously, you guys are okay. Don't worry about the forms. I see your work. Can we? Oh, are there any other questions?
I have one question.
Is that Clara?
For some reason, I have always a notification with my WP form, but I think it's just a desire on their part to have me buy it or upgrade it or buy it.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, it's Katerina. Hi. Yeah. You know, when you say notification, usually those notifications are to do an upgrade of a new version, an update of a new version. If it's trying to tell you to upgrade to a paid version, obviously you don't need to do that.
I think that's what it looks like they're trying to do.
Oh, don't do it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, some plugin. That one doesn't usually do that though. Did the rest of you get that kind of notification?
I saw that yesterday.
They're doing that now, huh?
And then today it just had me update it.
Yeah, there's a difference between what I would call an update and an upgrade. And an update you should always do because it's a later version of what you have. An upgrade is usually something that they want you to buy, like a premium or commercial version or a pro version, whatever they call it, pro, commercial, premium. And I mean, unless there's some functionality that you really want for whatever that thing is, don't buy it.
It looks to
Certainly
me
certainly for this class, I'm not asking you to buy anything, so do not buy it.
It looks to me like they want me to buy something.
Yeah, just ignore it. Just say no.
The pop-up thing is a continual because they want me to buy. They won't take away the notice without buying.
Really? They didn't used to. Okay, well,
That's the pop-up maker plug.
that's the, wait, is this WP Forms?
No, it's the pop-up maker.
Oh, yeah, because I was going to say, yeah, I don't know about Pop-Up Maker. It sounds like if they're going to be super annoying, to me, that kind of super annoyance is something I don't need in my life, so I generally stop using those kinds of things. But your mileage may vary. Yeah, you know, if something gets too annoying and you don't absolutely need it, I would just get rid of it.
Yeah.
I will after Friday midnight.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now you know that that might not be a plugin that you maybe want to reinstall later.
Actually, not Friday midnight, but maybe the middle of
Yeah.
the month or
And
something.
I said I'll leave your sites up for a while, so you know, I'll leave them up for like another month or something. I think I told you.
And then we
Mhm.
can work on them during that time.
Sure.
Yeah.
But eventually they'll come down, so you want to make sure you have all your information, have all your photos and all your material that you would lose if the site goes away. Make sure you have that, because when it goes away, it will go away.
Is there a link? Is there a link to transferring it to a different URL and website, like WordPress to WordPress? Make it
Yeah,
easy
it's not a link, it's a process.
process. Okay. You showed
There's
us
a migration process. It's not simple. It's something that we would have to work on that, like one-on-one. It would require you to have a setup on a new host. It would require me to do a bit of a migration that had to be coordinated. You have to install a plugin that helps with the migration, and then there's a process to move the WordPress installation. Not that it's hard, but it's a little on the tedious side for a little while. So why don't we talk about that offline? That's not something I can deal with even this week or probably next week. But after next week, which is my like recovery period.
Yeah.
Oh, could you? Oh,
Would
so,
we,
excuse me for just a second. Hi, I'm sorry. Is the meeting still happening? Oh, I'm muted.
Yes.
Is the meeting still happening? Oh, okay. Sorry, I had to kind of. I'm starting a class right now, but you know, I have to say it's kind of weird that higher ed meetings happen during what is normally our finals week, and all these great things are happening this week, which is the absolute worst time in the world for me. So, I don't know. Maybe California has finals in different times than other campuses. That one is no problem. So sorry, I was just multitasking. Okay, thanks. No, I was literally with one ear on that. Anyway, it's a long story. I love you guys. It's really great to see you, and I look forward to really participating in the PPC after today. Okay, see you. Bye. Thanks. Okay, good. That was a long story. Yeah, there's
So
the.
should we email you in June or something if we want help with that?
Yeah, actually, no, don't wait till June. Okay, so let's talk
June
about
is the week after next.
how many of you,
The week after
yes.
next.
How many of you really want to migrate your site to another site?
Yes, maybe.
3, 4, I see 4, 4.5. Okay, so what we'll do is I'll leave the sites there for a while. I can start addressing that, as I said, in another week or so. I need a week to recover from this week. We have to get all our work done for Cabrillo by Monday or Tuesday. Monday's a holiday, so they've given us till Tuesday. And so until then, I'm kind of booked solid. And it is a little bit of a process to migrate. I think we talked about this on one of the other sessions. So let me, actually, we don't have to spend time on this today, but so what happens is this: you have to get a hosting site somewhere else that obviously hosts WordPress sites, and pretty much they all do. So that will be the first thing. If you don't already have a hosting site, then we should talk about that before you get a hosting site. If you already have a hosting site, then we want to make sure it's going to work. How many of you already have hosting sites that want to move your site? How many of you don't already have hosting sites?
Oh, I
Okay.
have a hosting site on WordPress, but I don't want to put it on that website. I want it to be a separate WordPress website.
Okay, so you have a hosting on WordPress.org?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do host sites. They're not, I don't use them for commercial hosting. So I'm not familiar with their system, but they wouldn't be my first choice for, I mean, ironically, they wouldn't be my first choice for a hosting site, especially if you're gonna have multiple WordPress installations. But they might be fine. I'd have to look at I'd have to look at their stuff, their control panel and everything. So it might work.
I'm not moving my other website, so that's staying where it is, wherever it is. I don't know if it's WordPress.com or WordPress.org, but I know that I'm not going to change
Well, the
it.
WordPress.org, again, ironically, the WordPress.org is really the commercial site. So that's probably where you're hosted, and you'd have to look at your hosting package and see if you can have multiple domain names hosted on there for the same price. I'm not sure that WordPress.org does that. That's the thing I'm not sure of.
Well, I had a hosting package on Network Solutions, and my websites are the domain names are still with Network Solutions. So
yeah,
I have to connect the two. So one is already connected, two are already connected, but then this third would be just a whole different website.
I have had terrible experience with Network Solutions. Just terrible.
Yeah.
Network Solutions, they go way back. They were one of the original domain name registrars. They go way, way back. They're also probably the most expensive registrar that I'm aware of.
Mm.
So many registrars, not hosting, registrars, like for a .com, it might be like $11 a year. As I remember, Network Solutions was like $35 a year or something ridiculous. I mean, it was just some completely inflated, ridiculous price. Like I wouldn't have my domains registered there just because they're just like charging you an arm and a leg for what is just commodity service that everybody else does for, 1/3 the price that they charge per domain name. So, so you could look at moving your domain registration.
Okay.
So the registrar just reserves the name for you, and that is fairly commodity. The only difference between registrars and the service they offer is whether or not you choose to make your registration information private and not public. So most registrars, by default, your registration is public, meaning that somebody can do what's called a whois. They can look up the domain name and they can see who owns it. And they see your email address and they see your address and so forth. And so what the registrars have gotten hip to is that there's a lot of money in just selling people another service, which is, we'll privatize that. We'll make that private. We'll hide your registration information. We'll put our information up there, even though you're really the owner, and hide your ownership if you pay us another $10 a month or $10 a year or whatever, So that's the only difference between the services the registrars offer, whether or not you're paying for extra privacy. I have I don't even know, 25 or 30 domain names. So to me, paying for privacy doesn't even make sense because who cares? I don't care. You want to see that I own teacherjohn.com or whatever, look it up. It's there. It's all public. I have a P.O. box. I don't care about my address being there. I never answer my landline. I don't care about that being listed, right? So I don't need privacy. But a lot of people do want privacy because they just don't want their stuff exposed. And that makes a lot of sense. So the only factor in determining who you should use for a registrar is whether or not you want extra privacy, and in which case then you want to compare the rates, because some registrars will include privacy for your first domain or whatever. Some it's going to be you're going to pay an extra, $10 per year per domain name. It's all over the map, right? So the privacy is something that you would generally pay extra for. So if privacy is a concern, you want to really look at not only what the rates are for registering, but what are your rates for making it private. And then you can compare the registration fees that way.
Okay.
Now, hosting is a completely different matter. Hosting is a lot more expensive. It's a lot more involved. The registration, again, is very straightforward. You're just listing your domain, all you do with the registrar is you put in the IP address of the domain name of the web host, and so it points to that host. That's all the registration record does, and that's all they're charging you money to do, is to point to the host. Now, the registrar and the host can be the same company, in which case you can save perhaps a few bucks because you get some kind of a package deal. The typical package deal of hosting and registration is you save about 10 bucks because they say, okay, if you have us as your registrar and your host, you'll get the first year of one domain name registration free. I mean, that's your standard package deal, which means you save 10 bucks, 10, 11, 12 bucks. I have run into some very weird issues with registration because HostMonster, where I have my domains hosted, also does registration. My girlfriend has some of her domains using HostMonster as the registrar, right? And I was going to host one of her domain names on my other on a HostMonster account, but HostMonster, because the name was registered on a different HostMonster account, it insisted on transferring ownership to me, which the only way we could do it, I have to go back. I have to transfer ownership back to her. It's a cluster screw up, just because the HostMonster setup doesn't really work well for having different HostMonster accounts do different things because it wants to put it all in one account. So ironically, it was actually more hassle to have both functions on 2 different accounts with the same host. But all my domains are hosted at gkg.net just because that's where they've been hosted for 30 years or something. So the bottom line is, the main thing you want to decide is, do you want your registration and your hosting at the same company or not? And for many of you, it won't really matter one way or the other. But realize that they're separate functions. Now, if you're moving a WordPress site and you want it to be under its own domain, I'm assuming that, to me, a WordPress site is your own domain name, right? So if you have 2 WordPress sites, you're going to be under different domain names, I'm assuming, right? Joe.com, Mary.com. Each can have a WordPress site on the same hosting account. So I'm not as familiar with the WordPress.org hosting services, right? Okay. So that's what you want to look into. So in any host account, if you think you're eventually going to do a little more than have one little website, you want to see, okay, so what are the packages you have? What's the rate for a package that allows me to have, multiple domain names and multiple WordPress installations, each under a separate domain name. Usually the basic account that's really cheap, let's say, in the $5 to $8 a month range, your really cheapo account, they usually don't allow you to have multiple domain names and host and WordPress accounts, unless they kick you up to the mid-level, low-end business account, which is now in the range of $8, $9, $10, $11 a month. And those accounts that are in that $10 a month range, they generally give you pretty much what most people would need, unless you have a very large business. So you'll get, let's say virtually unlimited domain names. Like I said, I have like 30 domains hosted on one HostMonster account, right? They'll give you unlimited WordPress installations. All your WordPress installations are under one account. Now they're under one account on the Design Cruise domain. They could easily be under all different domain names, but that's just not the way I set up for this class, because that would be a nightmare to administrate. And the and that one account can do pretty much anything I want. So and that's fairly straightforward for most. So GoDaddy has like the medium or low end business deal. HostMonster, Bluehost and HostMonster are the same company, by the way. Sometimes you get a slightly better deal from Bluehost than HostMonster because the marketing is a little different, but it's the same company. So if you're looking for a new account, Bluehost would be probably the sales department you would contact, not HostMonster, because I think Bluehost gives you a slightly better deal. Again, even though don't ask me why. And there are millions of other companies that do this stuff. And GoDaddy's the largest. They're the Walmart of this stuff. They're the really largest company. I personally don't like them because they have a kind of a slimy past. Apparently they've cleaned up their act. I don't really know because I don't like them. You know what GoDaddy got slapped for, don't you?
No.
Okay, well, you can, if you're searching to see if a domain name is available, there are many ways you can do that search. So usually you can do that search through a registrar itself, right? So let's say that gkg.net is my registrar. I go to gkg.net. They have a little, hey, see if this domain name is available box. I type in blah.com. It says, yes, it's available. Click here to buy it. No, it's not available. Try this instead, right? Well, what GoDaddy was doing is when somebody would search to see if a domain name was available, GoDaddy had a sophisticated artificial intelligence algorithm that tried to determine if that domain name was worth any money. And if it was, they registered the domain name after you did the search before you could. So let's say you searched on something and GoDaddy said, yeah, that's available. And you said, oh, maybe I'll think about that. Maybe I'll register that tomorrow or something. You know, well, guess what? GoDaddy registered it. Oh, now you want it? Oh, yeah, you pay us a couple $100. We'll give you that domain name, no problem. So that's super slimy. Violated the ICANN rules. That's the agency that licenses the registrars to be able to license you guys. And they got, you know, they got slapped on a few wrists. I don't know if they had to pay anything. And they said, oh, we're sorry. Oh, yeah, we won't do that again. Everything. But you know, to me, that's just like, that is so slimy. That's so disgusting that I don't even want to think about GoDaddy anymore. But, you know, that was years ago. But at any rate, that is something to be aware of, that when you do a search for a domain name to see if it's available, if you think that you want to register it, register it. Don't wait. Just register it, just in case. Okay. Now, so that said, a lot of people do like GoDaddy because they're one of the cheaper ones. They're fairly commodity, as I said. But the main thing from in terms of WordPress is how many WordPress sites can you host with a particular account? Because you might get an initial, hey, $5 a month for this, you know, GoDaddy cheapo special. That's great. And then you find out later, oh, you want more than one WordPress installation? That's another $5 a month, you know. So they nickel and dime you on the really cheap accounts. So if you think you're going to only have one account, go with the cheap account. If you think you might have more than one account, more than one WordPress installation, host more than one domain name, then yeah, you might be able to get away with that on a cheap account, but at some point they're going to nickel and dime you to the point where you want to go to the mid-level or low-end business account that's more like 10 or 11 bucks a month. So you want to kind of think of that, you know, in advance. Now, many companies, you can start with the cheapo account, and then, you know, some months later you decide, you know, I do want to host a few more sites. And some companies will then you can just call them up and you say, I want to, and they'll just, okay, we're going to switch you to this hosting plan, and no hassle on your end. They just bump you up to the next plan, the next billing amount, the next, you know, a tier of their service. And then you can add more stuff and you pay a little more, and that works out fine, right? So you don't necessarily have to figure it all out right at the beginning. But the main thing is if you want to switch companies. So if you think you're going to switch to another hosting service, moving sites is you know, a pain, and there might be a little downtime and so forth. So it's moving from company to company that's kind of the hassle.
Right. Okay.
Does that help with giving you an idea of what you look for? So before you buy new hosting service, talk to me about what your needs are, and I can kind of give you some guidance. And I've said this before, but one of my main, besides just what the actual packages offer you and the cost, my main criterion is support service. So I don't care how cheap an account is if I can't talk to somebody on the phone who knows what they're talking about, and they can help me, you know. I don't want to talk to people in another country and I can't understand them. I don't want to talk to people only between the hours of, you know, 10 and 2 during the week. You know, I want good phone support that's going to help me out when there's a problem. And so that's my main thing. Your mileage may vary, right? But to me, the services are fairly commodity, and most of these businesses do the same stuff. They have some different ways of packaging them, but it's really the service. It's really the tech support service that is the difference. And so I would highly recommend you take that into account when looking for a provider. Okay. They're all going to host WordPress sites. WordPress is an industry standard. They're all going to host WordPress sites, and how many you can host and how many domain names you can have, that's the question on one hosting account. And of course, email is the same, by the way. Email and web is both part of hosting. So when I say hosting, we're talking about web and email. Because if you have a domain name and you're hosting it somewhere, it's being hosted somewhere, that means you get all the email addresses you want at that domain and WordPress installation or other HTML installations at that site. Sometimes there are limits on the email accounts as well. Again, the super cheapo accounts might give you 1 or 2 or 5 email addresses as part of the package. The mid-level, the $10 and up accounts per month, those are generally unlimited email addresses per domain name, and generally unlimited domain names, within reason, depending on the service. So, yeah, Katarina.
Yeah, I was wondering, does it make sense to have more than one domain name going to one website? Like having to, like in my case, if I had Marlowe Photography and also my name, KatharinaMarlowe.com.
Well, it's up to what the quick answer is no. There's no problem with that, and
Okay.
it could make sense.
Okay.
Let me give you an example of what I do on a lot. I have some sites where I have both the .com and the .org, right?
Uh-huh.
So, like if I'm setting up a nonprofit site, whether it's for me or somebody else, I'll register the .org. But then if the .com is available, I will also register the .com and point the .com to the .org.
Okay.
In other words, because it's so common that somebody goes to the .com by mistake instead of the .org, right?
Right. Right.
So let's say I have shoestore.org. Oh, maybe it's not a store. Let's say I have the Westlake School PTA.org, right? Well, I might also register the Westlake School PTA.com
Yes.
and do nothing with the .com except redirect it to the org site. So that if somebody accidentally types the .com, it gets sent immediately to the org site. So it's very common to point two domains at the same thing in that kind of a scenario.
Okay.
And also in what you're talking about, the names are a little more different. But if you have one site and you've got two domain names, there's no problem pointing them to the same site of one or the other. That's
Okay.
just called a redirect.
Okay, good.
Simple redirect.
John,
Yeah.
just to answer her, from my perspective, originally I had one domain name, and then I had my name as well in a separate domain name, and I pointed it to my business name. And then I also had in the back of my mind, someday I want to do an art website and have my art on there. So now I've got the website. Now I have to hook it to that one and then still point them to wherever they're going to go. But I have 3 websites. One is for books, one is for my work, healing work, and then the other's for the art now. But I had all the other ones pointing to different ones until I could get them separate websites, and then I'll connect them somehow. So
Good.
that's what I've done, and I bought a bunch
Yeah.
of domain
Okay.
names
Good.
that read.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they are helpful. It is helpful to get them and then just hold them until you're ready to do stuff for them.
Absolutely. Yeah, redirects are really simple. And again, as I mentioned, I use them a lot because if I'm doing a nonprofit site, I'll register the .com and the .org, and then I will build the site on the .org because it's a nonprofit, but then I will register the .com and then just redirect the .com to go to the .org.
Makes sense.
It's so common for people to accidentally go to the .com. So I've done that a number of times. Redirects are simple. There are some implications for search engine optimization with redirects. I haven't kept up with that. But Google, what they want to make sure of, what all the search engines, whether it's Google or Bing or DuckDuckGo or whatever, all the search engines, their main thing is they want to make sure that you're not gaming the system and that you're not doing funky things to try to rank higher in the search engines.
Yeah.
And so there are ways to use redirects to do kind of weird things. And so redirects, Google does pay attention to them, and there is a way it can hurt you. Generally it doesn't, but there is a way you can do it incorrectly that does hurt you. And I can't remember the details on that. You could kind of do a little research on the Google Webmaster Guidelines section of their site and see what they have documented on that. But so it's just be careful a little bit. They want to know that you're not doing anything funky to reroute traffic, to a site that would normally wouldn't get the traffic and try to boost it that way. So don't worry too much about it, but just realize there is a search engine optimization factor there that you might want to do a little research on. Generally speaking, it's not going to hurt you. There are a couple ways to do redirects. You can do an automatic server redirect, which is transparent to the user, which means they type in the website and they're automatically redirected to the other website, and they don't even see anything happening. They're just there. Now, if they look at the URL, they'll see the URL is a little different, perhaps, but otherwise they wouldn't even notice that. You do that on the server, and again, in your control panel for your web hosting service, there's going to be a section where you can do redirects. It's very straightforward. You put in the URL, redirects to this URL, blah blah blah. Another way to do redirects is to make the user see what's happening, and that's very common if you've had something. If you've had a site or a page, and of course you can redirect a whole site, you can redirect just a page, right? Page redirects are a lot more common because lots of times you move a page somewhere else, and if somebody goes to the old address, you want them to be redirected to the new address rather than it just saying error 404, sorry, you're out of luck. So a page redirect, same kind of thing. And so you can simply put up a page and the old URL that says, this page has moved. In 5 seconds, you will be automatically redirected to the new page. If you're not automatically redirected, click here, which is just a link to the new page. And then it might say something like, please update your bookmarks, you know. And that's a courtesy so that if you do move pages around, the user goes to the old page and they go, and they, instead of just being quickly automatically redirected and they never know that they're going to the wrong address, you put up a page that says, you know, please change your bookmarks, and now we'll send you off on your way, so that they get the idea that they should start going to the new page, and eventually you take down the redirect. So there are different ways to do redirects, and doing that kind of simple page redirect is an extremely simple thing to do. You just put up the redirect page. There's a meta tag. You can Google, you know, meta redirect. You'll get the block of code. You put it in the old page, and it and you put how many seconds, you know, 5, 10 seconds, 10 seconds, and then automatically it just redirects them over after 5 or 10 seconds. So you can give them a message that they see, or a link to click on to get to the new page. And so page redirects are really simple, and you know, that's something that you would do if you're moving a lot of pages around. Now, WordPress is a little different than doing hand-coded HTML pages where you're doing those redirects yourself, because WordPress is a bit more complex. So WordPress creates its own URL system, and you can modify that, but essentially speaking, with WordPress, you can have that a little more, WordPress will just automatically, when you change a URL in the WordPress editor, WordPress should automatically take care of any redirects. There's no problem there, right? So within a WordPress installation, if you're going to move a page around, what that really means is you're going to change the URL of the page. You're not going to physically move it because WordPress does everything else. You're just going to go in and change the URL. WordPress should understand, okay, that URL is now different, and everything is taken care of in the WordPress universe for your site. You can get yourself into trouble with changing the URLs too, but normally that's not a problem. I don't even remember why I got off on that tangent, but hopefully it was useful to you.
Yes.
Okay. So the whole question of migration, we're going to have to do that. I'll help you individually with that in a week. And so don't worry, I'll leave the sites up, and just yeah, send me email, and or whoever, in another week or so we'll deal with that. I have to walk through you with, you know, what's your new site, how do they, you know, it's going to be a little bit of a process to do that. That said, what other questions do you have?
Presentations?
All right, and let me get my clipboard out here. Who would like to do a presentation? I saw Spring's hand first, and then I saw, okay, so okay. We'll start with Spring. You're muted, Spring. Do you want to share your screen?
Okay, unmuted and share screen. Okay, desktop. Sure. Allows, okay. So I've never done this before, so bear with me.
It's a new world.
Can you see anything?
Not yet.
Nothing is happening.
So when you click on the green square sheen, the green square sheen, share screen button, then you get presented with some icons, and one should say like share desktop.
Yeah, it does. With an exclamation point, and then I press share. Then open system preferences allows you, oh. Well, I guess I have to allow Zoom to share on my preferences, which is weird.
Interesting. I'm not blocking anything. You should be able
Are
to.
you on a Mac?
Yeah, I'm on a Mac.
Sometimes you have to go into your system preferences, go
Right.
in to open up the security or the sharing, open up and put in your username, unlock it, put in your username, and there should be a Zoom icon that you click, and then you click that, and then it allows your Mac to do the sharing. If you haven't set that up, it won't allow it.
Oh. Okay, well, it told me to open it, and I said, okay, let's see if it works. No.
Should open your system preferences, and then unlock the bottom, put in your name, your admin for your Mac.
Right, yeah. No, it's just not.
I
And then-
think it's under, is it under privacy? Wait, where is this?
I think it's under sharing, but I could be wrong.
It's more of a security thing. Security and privacy, I believe, is where it is. So
Right.
you open up your system preferences. It's okay. And then you see security and privacy. It's like a little house.
Yeah, it's
And
open.
then if you click on that, I think this is the thing where it says allow Zoom to control your computer or something.
And there's two parts to the menu, and on the right-hand side, you should see this little Zoom camera thing, and just put a check by that box.
Okay, check. Sorry, okay.
Once you've checked Zoom, then lock your preferences back up again, do the padlock, and then try and share your screen.
In the process, bear with me. My computer's running a little slow. It's like a 2012 Mac, so I don't think it has a lot of life left in it. Zoom Us will not be able to record the contents of your screen until it's quit.
What?
Okay, never mind.
Well, you're not recording. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, okay. So did all that. Let's go back to you and share. Ah, there we go.
Yay.
All right.
Okay.
Can you see stuff?
Success.
All right. So I don't know if you remember, I told you I did my own website because trying to kill two birds with one stone. But this is it. And I actually opted to get the WordPress as a host. You can see the plans. They're kind of expensive, but I think it'll be worth it for me. So
It depends. Yeah, it depends what that premium, the $8 plan. It depends what that does. That might actually do everything you need. So
no, it didn't. I want to be able to access a few more things. And like you said, I like being able to, have a person, and it has a bunch of other stuff. But,
yeah, so you do have to go with the mid-range business plan. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me see. Let me go back to Edna. Do you just want to see the site, or do you want to see the dashboard, or what do you want to see?
Why don't you show us the site first?
Okay.
And that will probably trigger a few questions, and then you could probably answer some of them in the dashboard, as my guess.
All right. So this is my site. I used some stock photos from Adobe Stock, so I bought them. They're all licensed and all that stuff. I made my logo. It's right there. So I have my menu bar that goes to, it's linked to everything. That happens automatically. And then I did some icons that link to, certain things with a little message underneath. And a contact sitemap, because a lot of times people, don't understand the menu, and this makes it easier to get to my contact form. And then down below, I did social media things. And then if you click on it, it goes straight to like my Facebook page, or my Instagram's not working too well with it. So I'm still working on that, but that might not only be able to work on a phone or tablet. So I'm not sure yet. And then, yeah. So, and then these, you can click on these and they take you to whatever page they need to go to. They open into a new tab so that I can go, you can go back and forth. And then like, this is my service page that tells you what I do.
What's the name of your theme, Spring?
Oh, Dora.
Okay.
I think it's like Dara.
All right.
That's the name. It took me a while to pick it, but I like it.
Yeah, I've never seen this theme before. I don't think so.
Well, I changed it a lot. I kind of customized it. I put like the photos in, I changed the colors a little bit to my color palette and, you know, played around with it.
Cool.
So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pages, 2 post pages, and the rest are just regular pages. So you have my about page. I try to keep everything the same because I don't want it to be too different, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, the COVID-19 page, because I have to have something up for that if I want to go back to work eventually.
Mm.
Though I'm probably going to have to change this because I got to figure out what the state, you know, wants. But
Yeah.
there we go. And then my services. I already showed you this one. Goes all the way down to the end. You can book an appointment by going to my contact page. So my rates page, I had a little bit of difficulty with, and it's still there. I'm still trying to figure that out, but you see how I can't get the basic cleaning, but like the 1-bedroom studio to align with the 1-bedroom studio on this side because I have like too big of a deep cleaning move out there. So when I did the columns, I can't get them to align right. It's really frustrating. You can't like move it, you know?
Have you tried, okay, so there's several things you can do. Let me tell you, the quick and dirty and super easy would be to put a caricature after basic so that basic cleaning was on 2 lines.
A caricature? A caricature?
I'm just saying make basic cleaning on 2 lines so it matches the other one, then everything will line up.
Oh, I tried that. It didn't work. I can't remember why, but it wouldn't work.
Really? It sure looks like it should work.
I know. I tried to do it and then it was all wonky. So I have to play with it. I might have to do it in like Illustrator or InDesign and then just put it in.
No. I don't think you'll have to do that. But also, I noticed that on the leading, the space between like deep cleaning / move and then out in cleaning, that's a lot of space between those 2 lines.
Yeah.
So that's something that your theme may allow you to easily change the leading on your, is that like an H3 or an H2? I don't know.
I think it's an H3.
Yeah. That's something that you might be able to just do right in the text editor. I don't know how, some themes are really weird with headlines and they don't let you do a whole lot with them. And some themes do let you do a lot with them. So it kind of depends. That could be one of those yellow pencil moments too. I don't know. Does yellow pencil let you change spacing?
I don't.
It calls it line height, and yes, it does.
It does let you change line height. Because what you want to do is change your line height.
Okay.
And it actually lets that take. It's not one of those things you have to cut and paste. It actually does it.
Okay, cool. I will give it a go.
Okay, sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. And then, let's see. This is my contact page. Name, messages, and then I did a huge list for people to check off if they want certain things done. And then, oh yeah, so I thought it would be fun to make lists for kids or whatever, cleaning lists, since I'm not getting a lot of work now, that people can click on and look at and be like, oh, if you want me to make you a custom cleaning list, and I made this all in Illustrator, so yeah, I thought it was cute. I think it'll be fun. I don't think I'll make any money off it, but hey, it's worth a try. Okay, and then I did cleaning tutorials, which I hate because I'm on film, but yeah, so it's like a little video of how to do a bleach solution. And you don't need to, I won't, okay. I'll do a quick play and then I'll turn it off, but
Okay.
it's just a silly little video.
And you did a YouTube embed, so.
I did a YouTube embed and I edited it in a to make a bleach solution. But yeah, so kind of silly
Great.
and
That's
embarrassing, but it's fun.
That's great.
And then in sitemaps, you know, I totally did not understand what a sitemap was. So I thought it was a map telling me where all my business
Oh,
is.
that's cute.
So I did the map and then I did a sitemap, and I'm still working on this because I can't get this little sitemap button to go that way.
So one thing, Spring. So
Uh-huh.
sitemap it's like a site, like SITE site.
Oh, SIT. Okay.
Yeah, and the same thing with website. So I noticed, I think on the homepage, you might want to change where it says site to SITE.
Yeah, I haven't checked all my spelling. I'm dyslexic, so I kind of get things switched.
Yeah, I get some of that too.
I usually have my daughter who's excellent at English, and just, I'm like,
So the places where you have SIGHT, just change that to SITE.
SIT. Okay. So did I do it right though? Did I do the sitemap right?
Well, are they links to your other pages? They look like they are.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go. All a
I
sitemap has to be is links to all your pages. That's all. And how you want to format it and make it look is completely up to you.
Except that didn't take you to the home. See, it says, oops, that page can't be. So you might.
Oh, wait, let's see.
Wait. Okay. So.
Didn't it? Wait, click on home.
Home.
Oh, oops, that page can't be found. It looks like somehow that link got broken.
Oh no.
Did you rename a page?
No, I don't think so.
Oh.
I mean, I'll just go back through the links and see.
You can just change the link on that button. Yeah.
Okay. I'll work on it tonight. It'll be done by Friday. But yeah, so that's it. That's my site.
I really like the colors, the yellow. It really has a very fresh and clean look to it, which is what you want, right?
Fresh and clean.
Cleaning.
Yes.
I agree.
I had another site that I was trying to revamp. I'm actually having that one. I have springcleanings.org that's being transferred. My domain's being transferred over to, you know, the WordPress, the redirect or whatever.
You own springcleaning.org?
I was, yes, because my springcleaning.com that I had years ago, I had let it expire.
Oh, you let that expire? Oh.
Somebody took it and told me they would give it back to me if I paid them $500. And I kind of gave them the finger and did springcleaning.org.
Oh, springcleaning.com is a good domain name. That's too bad.
No, but I got it now. It came back. Yeah. He wasn't able to sell it. And this was an actual person who took it. And like...
That's funny. So, yeah, you want to always make sure that you don't let your domain name lapse. That's kind of...
It was kind of like, it was over like, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago when that happened.
You got to be on top of that. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so now I'm going to have them both in one place, and I think it'll work.
I tried to look at it on my phone, and I got a jewelry site.
The spring cleaning?
Well, when I went through...
It's Springs-Cleaning.
Yeah.
Oh, so she's not in the DM.
No, this is not on the design cruise. This is a
different. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I did a lot of work in the design cruise, but then I wanted to make my own.
Okay.
Yeah, the design cruise one is still up there though. I looked for it, and I mean, I just
thought it's still up there because that's through John. So John will take that down when he's, you know.
Yeah, don't worry about that. That'll
ready.
go.
But it's still connected to my WordPress site, so they connected it and everything, which is nice. And I found some really cool plugins like Buffer. I don't know if anybody's heard of Buffer.
Mm-hmm.
That one's pretty neat because
what is that?
Buffer will it's a social media site that where you can like you can kind of manage your social media, or like for a business you can manage the social media. And what I like about Buffer here is it connects to my site. So if I post my video or I post my on my blog or whatever, it will post onto my social media accounts if I have it.
That's awesome.
And I'm still working on it because, you know, trying to connect stuff's hard, but I'm getting there.
How did it look when you checked it on your social media platform? Okay.
Well, it looked okay. I can hold on. Where is it? I don't know if I still have it open.
At the very bottom, I think.
No, it's the Facebook.
She's-
Okay, so here's my page, and go to my page. There we go. Facebook pages have changed too in the last couple of years, so refiguring that out. But I see, where's my posts. So yeah, see,
Oh,
that's
look
my
at you.
video, and it posted it there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then it posted to my Pinterest too. I have a Pinterest account, and yeah, and then my lists right here. It didn't post the picture of the list, which I'm not too sure how to fix that, but you can kind of click on this and it'll take you to my, little list page that has
That's
my
pretty
little list I made. So
So you only have to do it once. That's smart.
yeah, and I didn't know I could do that. Like, I knew I could manage social media on a site, but I didn't know that I could, actually just go into my blog and then it would automatically.
Could you tell me the name of that plugin again?
It's called Buffer, I think. Hold on. I'll bring it up. Oh, here. I already have it up. Okay.
Do you have a Twitter account?
No, well, I did a long time ago. I don't really like Twitter, and I kind of focus on Facebook, Instagram, and
Okay.
Pinterest. and LinkedIn.
I just wanted to say, if you did, it's very easy to put a Twitter feed on a WordPress page.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking about just doing Twitter for my house cleaning. It's just that they say it's better you just focus on a couple, but I guess getting everyone you can out there is good too.
It's hard to decide where to put your energy. I mean, if you don't have to do much to it, the problem is sometimes you have to go visit those accounts
Yeah.
But that's
to
what's good
manage
about
them.
the Buffer, because then, I can just kind of, and it's automatic, and then I can actually go on there and make posts that I can plan it out for the week or something,
Mhm.
not
Yeah, that makes
Google it.
sense.
So it's kind of cool. And then I got some feather here. I'm going to try WooCommerce with my lists later. And then they have an easy cart for the WooCommerce. I'm going to see if I can, if people want to buy the list. But then I have to figure out how to make it so they can't copy the list and, unless they buy it. And it's going to take me some time to figure that out.
Now, if you're going to do commerce, do you have a PayPal account?
Yes.
You know,
PayPal, Venmo, everything.
You can skip the Woo and just directly put PayPal buttons on your site pretty easily.
Oh, okay.
You can, PayPal. I mean, I have mixed feelings about them as a company. I have a lot of leanings against certain companies, but they are the most widely used, payment processing company online, and so most people do have PayPal accounts, and also they'll process any credit card even without a PayPal account. So you can use PayPal, and you can even very easily just throw in PayPal buy now buttons or add to cart buttons on a page, on any page, WordPress or otherwise. And so you don't have to invest in spending extra money for WooCommerce, because they're going to charge you more. Where PayPal, you just pay the transaction charge like a credit card.
Okay, I was gonna try too and see if they had something for Intuit, because I do QuickBooks Online for my business, and I accept credit cards to them too. I was gonna see if there was a way to link that, because then it would just be in my accounting and it would make my life easier.
You can
But-
also use Square.
Huh?
You can
Square.
also use Square. I use on one of my other websites. We use EasyCart, and the transactions are processed through Square.
Mhm.
And I think Square does dump to Intuit. I can't remember. But
Yeah.
Square's website is it's super easy to use and nice, and their transaction fees are really low. And they
What are
become
their
so
transaction
prevalent.
fees? Can I ask? Do you know?
I think it's less than 5%.
Well, yeah,
3%.
it should be. 5% would be high.
Yeah, it's I think it might be 2 or 3%.
That's good. I mean, generally they range around 4%.
It's 3.5%. And I
Yeah.
use Venmo because Venmo doesn't have transaction fees. Or I go through friends and family or personal on PayPal.
Well, PayPal owes Venmo, and like I noticed with my customers, if they charge me through PayPal, you get the fee because they type a little button that says it's a service or product or whatever. And then, so sometimes you can just ask them, hey, can you just put me as a friend? And then you don't get those charges.
Right. That's what
If you're lucky.
That's what I do with all my people. I have them go through friends and family or
Right.
personal
Yeah.
on PayPal.
Okay, this is great. Spring,
Uh-huh.
since we're in this WordPress.org, I'm wondering if we can use this opportunity to take a quick look at the WordPress control panel. Is that something that you would find?
Yeah, hold on.
I'm not the WordPress, rather the WordPress.org control panel, not your WordPress site. I'm just wondering what services they offer for that package that you have.
Okay, so how did I do this? I think I
Because people ask me all the time about different packages, and I'm not.
see where it says edit down here?
Oh, no, not there. I mean, if you go back to, remember when you were on the first
Right.
page? Yeah,
I'm saying if you go to edit, and then you go to WordPress page, I think.
Oh, you just wanted to get out. Okay.
Yeah, and then let me see, spam this. Nope, this is still it. Where is
So you're
it?
still in WordPress. You're not in.
I know. I'm
You're
trying
not
to.
in your WordPress.org dashboard.
This is kind of what shows on my dashboard. It's kind of hard to get back into it. How did I get back into that?
When you were in that, it had plan. When
Yeah,
you-
that's what I was trying to get at. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
See
There
where
you
it
go.
says plan?
Right there.
I mean, not in the WordPress installation, but in the control panel for WordPress.org. I know it's confusing because they're both called WordPress.
So
We need to get out of this completely.
There's a tab that says plans. It says.
Yeah, I'm in
click on the-
plans right now.
Oh, okay.
click
This
on
is,
the-
yeah.
the
Yeah, this is
word.
what I want to see. Yeah. So if you scroll back up, let's see, priority support.
The menu, the second menu option is plans.
That's what I'm looking for. I don't see
want
it.
this
Oh, there
one?
it is.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, there you go.
So what does it say under the $8 one? Okay.
So free domain, but you can't do plugins with this one.
That's even with the $8?
Yeah.
Okay, what they've done is, wow, okay, it used to be different. All right, they've really jacked up. They've jacked up the prices on this. They have.
Oh, they do, and they make you pay annually. So I'm going to try it for a year and see what happens. My whole thing is they focus a lot on the advertising, and that's what I like.
Now, but if you look at now we're looking at the mid-range, if you can scroll back up, how much is this, 25?
This is $25 a month, and you have to pay annually, so it ends up you pay $300.
Yeah, most of them do that annual thing, but wow, that's a lot.
Yeah,
Okay, so let me just see what you really get. Unlimited themes, big deal. Okay, blah, 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 blah. 200 storage space. They limit your storage space. Okay, for paying that much, generally you should have unlimited storage. Storage is the cheapest part of the whole equation. Self-sufficiency. I want to see where it talks about how many installations you can have. Doesn't even say. What? What's under the third column? Maybe that's where they tell you more information. Let's see what the real expensive one is. They still limit you to 200 gigabytes. Yeah, they're pretty expensive. Interesting. They have a sale on that third one right now. Okay. You might want to, I think for what their $25 a month plan, that's about double for, the same or less service than you would pay at something like Bluehost or HostMonster. It's just my first.
If I had to do Bluehost though, would it have to, because I can refund this. I've been thinking about it. So if I did it at Bluehost and I sent my domains over there, how long would that take? Do you know?
How long would it take for what?
For everything to transfer over.
Oh, well, domains. So basically what you do is your registrar, are they registered with WordPress.org as well as hosted?
I'm not sure. I'd have to
Well, then they probably are, since you probably don't have a separate registrar. So usually you go in and you redirect the domain. So what the registrar does is they host the record. They just have a domain name record, and then the domain name record is the IP address of your web host, right, and your email host. So in cases, if it's the same company, it's just pointing at itself, so it doesn't matter. But if you were to set up a website somewhere else, and your domain name was hosted here, you would have to tell WordPress.org, you go into your hosting your domain name record and change the pointing of the domain name server to point to your new host. Now that's trivial, and there's no time problem, because basically if you've got your old site up and you've got a new site up, at some point the switch just flips and somebody goes to the new site instead, and there's in that sense there's no downtime. The hassle with moving stuff is if you actually transfer the domain name registration, because that is a process that when you register or renew a domain name, there's a 90-day hold period where you can't make any changes. I think it's 90 days. Maybe it's 30 days. I think it's 90 days where you can't change anything.
My other site is taking like a week to transfer it over.
Yeah, but I mean just being able to do a transfer. You can't do it if it's just been recently renewed. So, but if, for example, well, actually, you know what? Let me see if there's any more questions for your presentation, so we can give you accolades, and then we can switch gears. Are there any questions for Spring? Okay, well, thank you. That was a great presentation, and we learned a lot just from your presentation. Yay, great stuff.
How do I unshare this?
I can do it for you. It's up at the top, and I'm sharing.
Oh, stop share.
I stopped it, yeah. But what I'm going to do is share my screen, and what I'm going to do is go to, let's see here. Let me do a new browser window. Like, for example, if we went to, I'll go to Host Monster since I'm familiar with them, and we looked at their service list and what you got for the packages, you can get an idea of comparing the prices. So they're going to be significantly cheaper for what I could tell, more stuff. Let's see if we go to hosting features. Would it be in? Here we go. This is what I'm looking for. All right. This is not showing me the price list. Let's see. I want to compare the demo login, questions, live chat. Features vary. I want the chart where it shows like what you have, the three kind of, maybe if I have to click on get started, will that show it to me? Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Okay, so I don't know if you can see the differences here, but their basic $5 a month plan. Oh, by the way, these prices are the initial deal, not the ongoing prices. So wow, that looks really cheap until you look slightly above it where it says not normally $9.49, normally $12.49, right? So that normally price, that's the renewal price. So this is like your first year, right? So their normal price, for example, for what they call the plus or mid-range account, which is what you have, is $12.50 a month. And yours was $25, so it's exactly half. And if you look at the services, you have unlimited websites, right? Unlimited space, no 200 gigabyte limit, unlimited space, unlimited bandwidth. You get one secure certificate. Oh yeah, by the way, the secure certificates, that's usually where they nickel and dime you on these things. You have unlimited email accounts, unlimited email storage, unlimited subdomains. Well, that's not a big deal. It's the add-on. So park domains or add-on domains. I think that's what they mean here. Unlimited domain hosting, in other words. So for, again, this is the initial price. The real price would be $12.50 a month after the first year. You get a lot more than you get for that $25 a month account you have now, just in what I can see here. And so if you're only going to have one website, it doesn't matter. But if you think you're going to have more, then these kind of differences will add up in price. So something to think about. Anyway, and their Plus account is normally $15 a month, and I'm not sure what the difference is. I'm sure they give you a few more things. Oh, they give you the backup protection. Okay. Yep, that's one of the big differences.
So if I transferred, say my WordPress, whatever, all the way over there, do I have to wait until my other domain name gets to WordPress first and then transfer it over? Or can I just transfer over and then that will come over eventually?
Well, that depends on your domain name registrar. So since WordPress.org is both your host and your registrar, in there, this is one of the things I'm not sure of because I don't use that service, but they may, let me put it this way, they want to discourage you from moving off of their site. They want to discourage you. Everybody wants to discourage you. I had a real bad time with Network Solutions in transferring a domain name from them because they were just the biggest boneheads in the world. They did not want to let me transfer the domain names. My girlfriend had, no, it was a client. No, it was a client. Had domain names at Network Solutions paying like $30 or $35 a year for them instead of like, $11 a year. So I was like, you got to get these off of there. So we initiated the transfer, but they dragged their feet. They did everything possible to make it really difficult. I had to call them several times to make it work. So WordPress.org hopefully is not going to be like that, where they'll just repoint it. But I don't know what the registrar service is like. They may not like to point to a non-WordPress host. So I don't have the answer to that. So you'd have to call them and ask them. Normally that would not be a problem. And normally if you have a site in the old place and a site in the new place, there's no downtime because at some point it just switches over. But it's hard to know without looking at what their registrar does.
Is there an advantage or disadvantage from between Bluehost and HostMonster?
It's basically the same stuff. I have heard that you can get a slightly better initial deal with Bluehost. So this is HostMonster. If you do the same thing and look up Bluehost's rates, see what they are. My guess is they're very similar. But this is the kind of thing you want to look at. And again, websites unlimited, right? Web space unmetered, bandwidth unmetered. Subdomains and park domains unlimited. It says how many domain email accounts unlimited, email storage unlimited. This is what you're looking for because what happens is you'll hit a limit and then they'll start nickeling and diming you, And while 50 gigabytes of space sounds like a lot on this really cheapo account, if you are hosting, let's say, your own videos or audio, you'll eat that up in a second. You'll chew through that real fast. So a lot depends on what you're doing with your site as well. And you do want at least one free secure certificate because many of the search engines, well, Google especially, they are now starting to ding you for not having a secure site in terms of the search rankings. So having a secure certificate, in other words, your site would be https:// blah, 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 not http:// blah, blah, blah. That's what that means.
Can you explain this again?
Well, the secure certificate, notice in all these you get one free certificate. Usually beyond that you have to pay per domain name. So this means you get a free secure domain name. So for example, if you have a domain name that's not a secure domain name, what some of the browsers are doing, like Chrome, which is of course owned by Google and so forth, what they'll do is say, oh, this website is insecure. Do you want to continue? And do you want that as the first thing people see when they come to your website? So by having a secure certificate for your domain name, you can avoid that problem. Anyway, that's another story for another class, perhaps. But I realize I'm blathering a lot, and we have some more presentations to do. Now, I can stay on a lot longer today. I don't have a hard stop limit, but we have gone a while without a break. So what I'm thinking is maybe we should take a break and then do more presentations. Does that work for you guys?
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Yes, please.
So
Okay.
let's take a 10-minute break,
Okay.
and then we'll do more presentations. Okay?